And I'm reviewing the Southeast Community Plan Amendment. And this is the first step in that process of reviewing, which is to host this community meeting. So I want to thank everyone for joining, and also to everyone who has emailed and left voicemails related to this case. I apologize if I didn't get to respond. There's been a lot of interest in this case, and so I want to assure you that I have heard all your voicemails and read all your emails, and apologies if I didn't get back to you in a timely manner. I know there might be some questions about who is attending and how you can see those attendees. Due to the WebEx kind of security protocols that Metro uses, you can only see the names of the panelists, but we can give you updates on the number of attendees. So last I checked, I think there was around 50 attendees, but we can keep you updated on that. And I have planning staff on this call that can keep an eye on the participant list, just so you have an idea of the interest related to the case. If you have called in, you cannot see the presentation that I'm about to give. So if you're able to either put Metro Nashville Network on your TV or stream it on Facebook, you'll be able to see the presentation as I'm going along. If you want to view it afterwards, if you're just able to listen, this is being recorded and will be uploaded to Metro Nashville Network's YouTube channel probably tomorrow. So you'll be able to view the presentation that way, and also let your neighbors know if they missed it that the recording will be available tomorrow. So I am going to go ahead and go through some of our meeting logistics for tonight. Again, the best way to view the slides is to be looking at it on your computer or TV. Everyone's audio is muted except for the panelists. And there's going to be two ways for you to ask questions during this meeting, and I'll go over those on the next slide. And so here is the best way to ask questions. One is if you'd like to type in your question, you'll see at the bottom right of your screen our Q&A panel. If you type your question to all, that way all the panelists can see your question. You can do that at any point during this meeting, and a member of planning staff is keeping an eye out for those questions. And once we get to the Q&A portion, if we haven't typed in a response, we'll go through those verbally. If you'd rather be unmuted to ask your question at the Q&A time, you can raise your hand. It's a little icon next to your name, should be on the right side of your screen. You can click raise your hand, and that way we'll know that you're wish to be unmuted. And Metro ITS can do that as we go along. So I wanted to, before we introduce the rest of the panelists, I just wanted to note some of the adjustments that we have made since the meeting notice went out that you may well have received. We've done two things. One is to adjust the boundary that we're looking at for the plan amendment, and the other is to remove neighborhood center as a potential land use policy to be studied. And we are just going to be looking at transition policy. So during a planning process, a plan amendment process, when an applicant applies to change the community plan, the planning department often looks at a broader area than just their one property. So it's not unusual at all for us to apply a broader policy to take a more holistic look at the area. When planning was applying that broader boundary, we didn't realize at the time that we were incorporating a property owned by Councilmember Johnston, and she was not a part of deciding on the boundary, so she was not aware of that either until the notice went out. And so having heard that, planning has reduced the size of the boundary. And if you look at the adjusted map, you'll see that the boundary now comes along Harding to Timber Hill and stops at Briarwood where the fire station is. So I know that there's been concerns about that, and so I just want to let you know that it's also not unusual for us to adjust the boundary through this process. So for tonight, we'll just be discussing this smaller boundary area and just transition policy only. So to get on to introductions, on the call with me from the planning department, I have a few members of planning staff with me to help as we go through this meeting. So I have Anita McKegg, who's on the call. She works with me in the Community Plans Division and will be the one monitoring Q&A and helping facilitate that when we get to that portion of the evening. We also have Amelia Lewis, who is reviewing the rezoning request by this applicant for their property. And so she'll be able to answer any of your zoning related questions. And we also have Councilmember Johnston on the call, and I wanted to open it up if Councilmember, if you wanted to say anything at this time, please do. Otherwise, I'm sure there'll be time during Q&A to speak as well.
Thank you. No, I appreciate you recognizing me. I'm here to listen, honestly. I appreciate you clarifying that this was certainly nothing that I've come up with or that I've sponsored or asked for or encouraged in any way. That my job is here to listen to what the community has said. We've already had an overwhelming response, as Ms. Greider has alluded to. I certainly have had a lot of phone calls with concerns about it. I too have concerns about it and have communicated that. But again, my job is here to listen. We're all here to listen to the community. I love that there's so many people on. I see that we're up to 101 participants. And so that just speaks to what an involved community that I have, which I love. And we're very protective of and love our community very, very much. And so thank you all for being here tonight. And I'm just here to listen, like I said, but we'll answer any questions that anybody has, certainly. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. And then also on the call, we have the applicant team, Melina Springer and Ed Henley, and Melina will be speaking following my presentation, and then they'll be available for your questions. So briefly, the agenda for tonight. So I'm going to describe the purpose of this meeting and provide some background information on community planning in Nashville and then talk about how policy and zoning are two different things. And then I'll introduce the requested land use policy change, and then the applicant will give some background information on their application, and then we'll open it up for questions and discussion and use the majority of this time for questions and discussion from the community so that planning can hear what the concerns and questions are. So why we're meeting, an applicant has submitted applications to Metro to change the land use policy and zoning for the property at 444 Lynn Drive. It's the property right here at the northern end of our study area. It's very early in the planning's review process of these applications, and our first step is for planning to host this community meeting so we can explain the changes requested to the Southeast Community Plan and provide an opportunity for the community to express concerns and ask questions and give us your thoughts. The input received at this meeting weighs heavily into planning's recommendation to the Planning Commission. So myself and our fellow planning staff and council member will be listening and making notes on all the questions and comments received tonight. Just to zoom in a little more, so we're all oriented to the request and the boundaries. So the request involves properties north, south, and east of the intersection of Harding Place and Trousdale. So we're east of I-65 and Radnor Yards, west of Nolensville Pike, and southwest of the zoo. Over recent years, we've had quite a few property owners in this area contact us about using their properties for offices. So this is definitely not the first time that we have received inquiries about this part of town. To go into detail on for the request, you can again see the applicant's property at 444 Lynn Drive, and then the red boundary would be the boundary of this area we're studying to see if there's an interest in a change to transition policy. And shortly I'll describe what the current policy is and what that change to transition policy would potentially allow. So before doing that, I just want to give some detail on how we do community planning and what land use policy is in Nashville. Since the late 80s, Nashville has used community plans as a means of applying Nashville Next, which is our countywide long-range plan, which is a very broad plan. And so within Nashville Next, we have 14 community plan areas, and those are pictured on your screen. Each of those community plan areas are tailored to the issues and needs of those communities. And these community plans help guide where development and preservation should occur in each of these communities. So the area we're discussing tonight has the star on it, and we're in the Southeast Community Plan. Each individual of the 14 community plans is created with the community and adopted by the Planning Commission and then updated with the community. So they aren't stagnant documents. They have the ability in the process to be amended, which is a part of what we're discussing tonight. In order to implement the vision outlined in each community plan, we use land use policy, which addresses the form and character of development. So every property in Nashville has a land use policy, referred to as a community character policy. And each policy is defined in this document, which we call the Community Character Manual. And the policies are the standard by which all zone change requests are measured by the Planning Commission. And we also use a tool called the Transect, which is a tool for categorizing and understanding and guiding the various development patterns of a region from the most natural, T1, which is places like Bells Bend or Beeman Park, where there's natural areas with no development, all the way up to T6, which would be our most intensely developed part of town, our downtown. You can see that I've highlighted T3 suburban because that is the transit which applies to much of the Southeast Community Plan. So why are these policies important to communities? Policy is important because it is the guidance that rezoning requests are measured against. So if a zoning request is supported by the existing land use policy, there's a much higher likelihood that the Planning Commission will recommend approval. If the request is not supported by the existing policy, Planning Commission is unlikely to recommend approval. So an applicant may apply to change a policy that does not support their rezoning request. And this is a regular process that happens regularly across the county. So in this case, the applicant is requesting a rezoning to a zoning that's not supported by the current land use policy. So along with that rezoning request, they're also requesting to change the land use policy. And policy and zoning are two different land use tools. So each property in the county has a land use policy category and a zoning district. And the policy provides guidance and represents the vision for an area. Applying a policy change with a plan amendment such as this does not change the current zoning. So you can see on the left side, the land use policy, and I will go into what T3 suburban neighborhood maintenance and what transition policy is. And then the zoning, current zoning of RS10, residential single family, and the request to go to OR20 which is office and residential zoning for the property at 444 Lynn Drive. So policy is guidance, zoning is the law. Zoning is a set of regulations that control the physical development of land, including land use, density, height, setbacks, parking, access, landscaping, and signs. So in this case, the suburban neighborhood maintenance policy and the RS10 or residential single family zoning have been requested to change to allow office and residential uses. So here is a map of the existing policy in the area. So hopefully you can see this, it's a lighter yellow color on the majority of the screen, which is T3 Suburban Neighborhood Maintenance. That policy supports low to moderate density residential and institutional uses only. It doesn't support any other use. It doesn't support commercial or mixed use or office zoning at this time. It only supports residential and institutional uses. Some of the other colors on the screen, just to give you a little context, the bright blue colors are civic policy. So that would be for the elementary school and the fire station. And then this bright orange color is T3 Community Center, and that's for suburban mixed use commercial and residential uses, and that is applied to the other side of Trousdale. So the requested policy is to change that T3 neighborhood maintenance, that residential only policy in the yellow in this area, to transition policy. Transition policy allows for small scale office and residential uses only. It doesn't allow for commercial uses. It only allows either small scale office or residential. And transition policy is often used where we have areas of higher intensity uses or major thoroughfares next to lower density residential neighborhoods, to provide an appropriate transition off that commercial corridor or off that office corridor into established neighborhoods off our major roads. So that is the policy that is to be discussed tonight. And the thing that I'm looking forward to hearing about is that interest in transition policy, whether it's appropriate for the applicant's property, for more properties within that study area boundary, or not appropriate at all. That's the purpose of the meeting from the planning department's aspect. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a moment so that we can hear from the applicant on what they'd like to do with their property, and then we will open it up for our Q&A time. So Melina, I will pass it over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Anna. My name is Melina Springer. I'm a community planner at Pillars Development, and we are the applicant for the property at 444 Lynn. As Anna said, we're pursuing an OR20 zoning at that property, and because of that, it did spark this need for a community plan amendment. I have been able to speak with some residents last week, so we've already started to get an idea of what it is that you guys want and don't want in this area. And we're really looking forward to continuing that dialogue. And because of that, we actually haven't even started our design process. I spoke with Trish last week and we talked about that, how we haven't even begun our design process because really we're trying to come before you guys, the neighborhood, prior to actually beginning any work, because we really do want to be a good neighbor. Our desire for presenting this rezoning was due to the loss of some smaller office uses with the MAPCO changes that took place. And so our thoughts were, okay, we could bring in some of those, kind of maybe a small boutique office space or salon, something like that in this location, in addition to providing additional housing for residents. And because I don't have anything to present, really the rest of the time is just Q&A for you guys. If you have any questions for us, I'm more than willing and very happy to answer those.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Melina. I'm just going to share my screen for one more moment just to make sure that everybody understands how to ask questions. So once again, I think some of you have already mastered the Q&A box, but please, if you'd like to type your question in, please do so to all in the Q&A box, and we will start running through those. Alternatively, if you'd like to be unmuted and to verbally ask your question, please use that raise your hand icon next to your name I will say that if this meeting is scheduled to run until 7. If we are unable to get to all the questions, we save the transcript of the Q&A and we can follow up. The appropriate person can follow up with you if we don't make it to your question tonight. You can also email or call me if you have thoughts after the meeting or you're watching the recording, and we can try to address your questions that way as well. But I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and go to Anita to help us guide us through the Q&A. Let's start with the first question.
Yes, I think we have Elizabeth Hines who has her hand up.
Awesome. Sade, can you unmute Elizabeth?
Elizabeth, you are now unmuted.
You said that this change would for office use and residential development. What with residential development, does that include multi-unit spaces, multi-unit homes? Or will it still be single?
So I would let Amelia kind of talk to the zoning that's been requested, but transition policy is just for small scale office and residential uses. So it wouldn't be for anything that was out of scale with what's in the neighborhood currently. So, and also don't think on one lot that you could fit multifamily. But I'll let Amelia just talk to what OR 20 allows, if that's okay.
Thank you.
And I apologize, I missed some of the question, so I'll give it a shot, and then you can tell me if I forgot or missed anything. So OR 20 would permit kind of a range of uses, including some residential as well as office and non-residential uses. It would permit multifamily or attached housing as well. Somebody in the comment section as well asked about the residential density, which is a function of the building form in this case. So it's really regulated by the development you can put on the site and kind of the building shape that occurs. Did I answer all of it?
I think so, Amelia. Yeah. We have another question, Anna. Can you compare the differences and similarities between suburban community center policy and transition?
Yeah, so suburban community center policy is one of our more intense land use policies within that suburban transit and would allow for commercial uses, mixed uses, office uses, generally on a larger scale than transition policy is really only a small area that it's applied to that just really deals with sensitively transitioning from a corridor into a neighborhood. So the suburban community center policy that you have across Trousdale really allows a lot more intensive commercial, mixed, and residential uses, whereas transition is only going to allow small scale office or small residential uses. So they're two very different policies. We also apply transition in all the transects, so you can have transition in T4, T5, T6, T2, whereas suburban community center is just for that suburban transect and just for those larger commercial, mixed, and office uses.
We also have a set of questions for Melina. Let's see. The first one is 444 Lynn Drive the only property in this neighborhood owned by Pillars Development?
It is. Pillars doesn't own any other property in this study area.
And someone else is questioning, will you tear down and rebuild a much larger structure, say 3 stories in height?
We aren't sure of the height of the structure, but we are sure of the uses, which would definitely be residential. If this is allowed, then we would try to have a small small office use as well. But the primary use all we know at this time is that we want to do some residential with a small office use.
And so someone else thought they heard you say that you wanted to make your property a boutique salon. And that was not what you said, right?
Not the entire use of the property, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see what other questions, because we have more. We have more coming in. Let's see. This is a question. Why do we need this? We have a shortage of houses, but no shortage of office spaces. People are fighting to get into our neighborhood now. Why take away housing? And Melina, I think I'm hearing you say that you would like to add housing, add some residential.
Yes, that is correct. We're looking at duplex or more if possible. Yes.
And then I also heard you say at the beginning that, and I think everyone's aware that as the commercial spaces and restaurants and everything with the MAPCO are being squeezed, I know we as a department had more people questioning if someone could do an office or a restaurant in a house and things too. So I would say that those were some of the discussions driving some of that too. I think I heard you say that as well, right. What you were thinking. Okay. How many traffic studies have been conducted?
We haven't.
And that would be none, correct?
Yes. This is just the beginning conversations.
Yes. Yeah. And let's see. What is a limit on the building size and scope of this change, with limit in quotation marks? So what is a limit on the building size and scope in this change? Could we see another building like the hotel that was built across the street?
I can take this from a zoning perspective. So when we talk about the limits and kind of the built form that would be permitted, is it's going to fall to kind of the setbacks of the site and the height regulations as well. You're going to have a setback from the street and the property lines. There's a maximum height of, I believe, 30 feet at the build to line, with some room for growth stepping back into the site. It's also limited by what we call floor to area ratio. So it's limited by the amount of building that can be placed on the site. And that level is a 0.8. And so the ultimate square footage area to the site itself would not be able to exceed that number. And then I am unfamiliar with the hotel across the street, but I can try and take a look at it and be prepared if that comes up.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Amelia. Here's one that I'm going to take. Let's see. And I've lost the question. The Q&A keeps moving around on me. Let's see. Oh, it was, why does all of the area have to change? Just change 444. And as Anna mentioned early on, anytime we look at to study a plan amendment change, we also look at what other properties might have the same characteristics, might be applicable. As she mentioned, we had some questions about some of the other properties in this area. So when we set a study area, that doesn't mean that every single property in the study area has to change. That just sends a word to the community that these are the only area under study, under consideration. So for instance, 3 streets over is not part of the study. The study is restricted to the outline that Anna showed previously. So it could be at the end, there could be several different outcomes. It could be that people say, well, I'm okay with this policy change for this 444 property, but I'm not okay with others. But oftentimes what we see happen, and we've got some other questions about, would this set a precedent for surrounding properties? What we see over time is if you change one property and the next property has similar characteristics, they may also request a change. and then another property. So you see, you could be dealing with things for a longer period of time by just doing one at a time. But that's a possible outcome. Anna, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I think that's good. I think as planning, we're always looking at the big picture and at the whole area. And so it's easier to reduce a boundary than it is to expand it once we've noticed and held meetings on it. So we err on the side of having a larger boundary in order to notify more of the community. And then as we go through this process of meeting with the community, we oftentimes reduce that boundary. So it very well could be that if the community was comfortable with this particular proposal, that transition policy is only applied to this one property or to just one or two properties around it. So that's part of this process that we're going through beginning tonight.
And we have a couple people asking, will there be an opportunity for comment? And that's what this is. You can comment. You also can put it in the Q&A. It doesn't have to be a question. You can put a comment in there as part of the transcript, or let's get through the questions and we can take some comments from people towards the end with raised hands. But let's try to see if we can answer some of the questions. Someone's asking about overall the vacant office rate in this area. For Nashville, I don't know. Melina, Ed, do either of you just happen to know that, or council member?
Sorry, could you repeat that question?
What is they say that a good vacancy rate measures somewhere between 2 and 4% in a metropolitan area for office. What is the current office vacancy rate in Nashville?
I'm not sure on that one.
Yeah, we can find out and share with folks.
I can chime in there, and all of this needs to be caveated by the changes brought by the coronavirus outbreak. But between 2017 through 2019 and going into 2020, of course, varying based on the geographic area, but Nashville's vacancy rate was below 10% pretty much across the board. And in urban districts, it was in the 5 to 2% range in terms of vacancies.
Thank you. That's a good baseline. But yes, an important caveat about the pandemic and what that may mean. The address is on Lynn, but the driveway is on Trousdale. Will the entrance be on Lynn or Trousdale? Melina?
We are currently not planning on moving the driveway, but until we get engineering studies and things of that nature done, we can't guarantee where it is. But that is some feedback that we have heard in the last week, is that people want the driveway to be from Trousdale. So that is something that we've already talked with our design team about.
And how will the parking be accommodated?
We're planning, I don't know exactly how we're going to do that, because like I said, we haven't done the studies, and that's always going to be different based on the density that's allowed there and the uses that are allowed there. So I can't make any promises on how the parking is going to be accommodated or where on the site it's going to be.
And Amelia, with OR 20 zoning, are there any restrictions regarding business hours and days of the week and number of offices, buildings per parcel?
In terms of business hours, no, there is. The zoning code does not include hours of operations for businesses. And in terms of the number of buildings that could be built on the site, it would just be a matter of meeting the regulations of the zoning code. So depending on placing two smaller buildings within a larger building footprint, or creating one building, if we're talking about a non-residential building, there can be more than one on the site or one larger one.
Thank you. Then we've got another question that's a bit more general. How has this type of change affected other neighborhoods in Nashville? I'll take a stab at that to start with. Usually what we've seen are one or two properties that want to change to transition off a corridor at a time. And as Anna mentioned, it's usually small scale. Sometimes they're wanting to preserve an existing house and just use it as an office. Other times they're wanting to tear it down and build a small office or something. But I think it varies. Sometimes a transition could be a much larger piece of a corridor that's transitioning from the intensity of, like, say, the adjacent center there, the community center around the intersection with Trousdale, that is allowing then offices and different residential uses to transition to the single family. So I think it varies there as to what transition could be. And then a second question, if this is approved, what is to prevent developers from buying up these properties, scraping off current buildings, and replacing them with something that does not fit the character of the neighborhood? And I think that is the zoning comes into play as to what's allowed there, right? And the scale, somewhat of the scale, but I think nothing really prevents someone from tearing down buildings on a property, does it, Amelia?
Not unless there's something historic on the property or something that would require additional approvals. I think in some instances, what Anita said is correct. There's nothing really preventing other property owners or developers from buying properties that, depending on their zoning, it doesn't really matter. I guess this would permit other zoning districts that are not currently permitted, which is why this policy change is coming about.
Anna, we have a question. The initial outline was larger. Who decided to make it smaller? Also, what if residents right outside of the new outline wanted to be part of the new change? Would you like to go over that again?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to. Yes, I talked about this at the beginning of the meeting, so I realize some folks may have missed this. Yes, we have reduced the boundary of the study area for this plan amendment. So when planning receives an application to change land use policy, we often apply a much broader area to study. Number one, in order to notify a broader portion of the community, but also because planning is looking at things holistically and wanting to see if the change that's requested on one property is applicable to other properties in the area. So in this case, we applied that broader boundary and noticed it, as you may well have received in the mail. We did not realize at the time that Councilmember Johnston had a piece of property within that boundary. And once that came to our attention, because Councilmember Johnston was not in the process of us determining what the boundary was going to be, she also didn't know that her property was included. So once that came to our attention, we met as a planning department and reduced the boundary of the study area to remove her property from it and also shorten it down Trousdale as well as down Harding, as I was beginning to hear comments and see the concern with the change. And so we thought going with a smaller boundary was more appropriate at this time. And again, as I mentioned before, it's not unusual for us to reduce the boundary multiple times and sometimes end up with just the change on the property that the applicant is requesting the change for. So that was all planning department's decisions on the boundaries.
Here's a question for Pillars Development. Are you all anticipating buying more properties in the area?
We don't currently have any negotiations or contracts in place to buy any properties along this corridor. That's not saying that we'll never look to acquire more property along the corridor in the neighborhood, but at this time we aren't pursuing any of those.
Can I just make something really, just clarify that changing the plan, changing the policy does not automatically change the zoning. So if the plan, regardless of what the plan happens to be, if it's completely scrapped, it's completely scrapped. But if it happens to apply to, 2 parcels, 20 parcels, whatever that is, each one of those individual parcels would have to apply for a zone change. and that does come to me. So everyone in the neighborhood would, well, not everyone, but most everybody would be notified of what was being applied for, what their plans for, this, that, and the other. And so we would know, okay, so ABC company or Mr. and Mrs. Smith have purchased, whatever parcel. They want to rezone it to whatever. Is it OR20, OR40, whatever it would be. In order to do what they want to do. So we would be asking the questions, what is it that you're wanting to do? What are your plans? And the community would have involvement. So I think there's a lot of hesitancy because you think this is going to be this overnight change and all of a sudden all these houses are going to be knocked down and everything is automatically rezoned, and that's not the case. So there would be public input and feedback available for any of these zone changes. And that's not me saying I'm for or against that. That's just me clarifying that a plan amendment is not an automatic zone change, that each one of those zone changes would come to us.
And I do want to just tack on to the end of what Councilmember Johnston said, in that we really are trying to reach out to the community and hear your feedback on this. There have been quite a few questions about the particulars on this property. We don't have those yet. Those are conversations that we want to continue having with you as we continue through this process. So keep those questions in the back of your mind, but we really don't have any specifics nailed down for this property. So just in our future conversation, just keep those questions in the back of your mind so you can ask us at a later date, because we do want to have multiple of these meetings just to get more of a feedback from the community.
Amelia, does OR20 allow detached accessory buildings?
So it's going to be based on the use. It was just detached accessory was the question, correct?
Yes, they're wondering if an accessory building is allowed, could it be an accessory business?
In that case, it would just fall under the zoning regulations of the use. And so it's going to be the use that is permitted on the site or not permitted on the site based on the zoning district, if that answers the question.
Let's see, here's a comment. Let's see if this is a comment or a question as I read it. Traffic at this time, considering CSX not helping by blocking Trousdale at peak times, is terrible. Traffic down Elysian Fields and Lynn are heavy during peak time. Traffic studies need to be administered. And I think there that no one would argue that traffic is problematic here. It's just that traffic studies are triggered by certain zone changes and by the intensity of the proposed density and things like that. And so oftentimes a zone change of one property to OR20 would not warrant a traffic study. Amelia, anything to add?
Yeah, so there are specific limits of when a traffic study would be required with a rezoning, and that is based on non-residential of over 50,000 square feet or more than 75 residential dwelling units is when it's required. There is, some, if our traffic and Nashville Department of Transportation engineers believe that a study would be beneficial for the site, that's something that they can require. But until we know exactly what would be triggered on the site, that is kind of when the traffic impact study would be required.
Anna, here's a question for you. If this zoning was put into place, then can it not be rezoned more easily to commercial in the future?
If the OR20 zoning or the land use policy? Okay.
I think it's I think it's transition policy and OR20 were in place.
Gotcha. Well, no, because transition policy doesn't allow for commercial uses. So if that were the intent, then the land use policy would have to be applied for to be changed again to a policy that allows commercial uses like that T3 community center across the street. So no, this change to transition only allows office and residential. So it doesn't impact the potential for commercial. You still would not be allowed to do that.
We also have some more people voicing their concerns about tearing down one house and placing two more on the lot, and that over time that equates to small apartments and can change the character of the area. We have several people voicing that concern. One owner could buy several properties and build a 3-story building, correct? I think so. If it was residential, it would need to be residential right now. Amelia, isn't residential's limited to 3 stories, right? Like single family homes?
If we're talking about operating under the existing zoning, then yes. The existing zoning is currently residential single family. So it's only one residential family unit per lot. Under OR 20, multifamily would be a permitted use up to 3 stories at the building setback line.
Ed, would you like to take a question about your involvement in the ownership of the property? And they wonder if you've already sold to Pillars when in fact you are Pillars, but wondering about any conflict of interest since you're also on the Planning Commission.
Well, I'll answer to the best of my ability. I'm not a person who usually shies away from questions. I guess and I think it was a couple parts to it. So I purchased the property in 2016. I had already established Pillars Development at that time. The original purpose was to really have a cornerstone of my real estate portfolio because I think that corner is very prominent. I think it's a great area for the neighborhood. I think, my intentions have always been to utilize their property as an investment property, but to do so in a way that was thoughtful. And to do so in a way that really had always intended for it to be residential. The challenges with the property that presented themselves were related to, water intrusion and foundation issues. I think a lot of people in the community struggle from that, and the topography of that site does not necessarily help. And so because of that, knowing that there'll need to be a lot of significant repair work done or even demolition and new construction to resolve that issue, that was kind of the spurring of the desire. Councilmember Johnston is here on the call, so she can attest to this. The conversation about this property was brought to her last year before I even knew I would be asked to be on the Planning Commission. And so, asking to be on the Planning Commission is a great honor. I've served there for a couple of months now, but I've already been instructed that anything related to this community plan, and I would assume also the rezoning, I would have to recuse myself. So hopefully that gave a good enough response or a solid enough response, a satisfactory response to the question.
Thank you, Ed. There's another question asking, have the people representing the city actually been on the ground in this area on site? For my part, yes. I've been around there numerous times. I live not far from the study area. And so I don't know about the rest of you. Anyone else want to answer, weigh in?
Yeah, I've been over there numerous times as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, there's a lot to keep up with. So as I'm scrolling through these, we still have a lot of questions coming in about project specifics, like where, parking and signage and everything like that. And I think that, Melina, I heard you say that you would like to have more community meetings and work on some of those kinds of details so that people perhaps could see more about what you're envisioning for the property. And correct. You can listen to the community and their concerns.
Yeah, we haven't done any studies or anything on how the property could be developed yet.
And here's a very timely question with the flood back in March and all the rain that we've had this year. As owners transition to business and denser residential, how will the loss of green space and increase in parking space affect stormwater drainage? And how will that impact properties in lower lying areas? I'll take a first stab at it, and then maybe a council member you can add, or someone else can add in. That's a concern we all have. And, stormwater works really hard to require permeable green infrastructure, reduce stormwater, capture stormwater, slow it down. And so, a lot of times properties have been developed in the past, like decades ago, and there weren't stormwater controls in place then. And so, sometimes new infrastructure has the ability to make a situation a bit better than it has been in the past. That being said, though, an owner is really only responsible for their property, so their water and what it entails. They're not really responsible for rectifying an entire neighborhood's issues. And so I think that's a concern on all of our minds, and that's one reason why you hear people at my department, the planning department, caution against developing in floodplains and on steep slopes and things like that because of the impact on environmental sensitive features. Anybody else want to add?
I've just been made privy lately with different permits that are being pulled for both commercial and residential, and how stormwater is actually really, really tough because of their new restrictions, and you won't receive a permit until stormwater signs off on it. You have to have an engineering report of this, that, and the other. And so it's much different now than it was in the past. So they're looking at impervious versus pervious. They're looking at, the topography of it. Where's the water going to slope to? Where does it go once it gets there? The impact to surrounding neighbors and all that. It's actually really in depth, and there's some engineering nerds that I can put you in touch with that really get into that sort of thing. But it is definitely something that is on the radar, and permits won't be issued until that particular aspect has been addressed and has a very in-depth plan from engineers that's been put together and approved.
Melina, Ed, a question for you. We have several people saying, why this property? Why this neighborhood? Why not look at some place that already had the zoning in place? You want to talk just a little bit about what your interest in this area, this property?
Yeah, I'll take that one. Well, first, I think, again, I mentioned that the property was already owned, and it's been owned for, what'll be 6 years soon. And again, I think that the changes in the neighborhood, right, outside of those things that I've brought to the neighborhood today, the neighborhood itself is changing. I mean, the questions that we've had on the call today reflect that. I mean, the map code's changed. There's, new development. There's a new hotel in the area. Businesses have been lost. And of course, our city is dealing with an affordable housing crisis. And so for me, having this property remain empty for the past year due to having to evaluate the types of repairs that are needed to, safely and comfortably house someone, something needs to be done differently on that property in particular. I think that's the specific answer to the question. And just while I'm talking about it, I think there's a lot of, there's possibly a perception that we're being vague purposely to avoid direct questions. But I do want people to know that our intention is to bring to the community actual visuals and documents that will show what we are proposing, not to get a zoning passed and then come behind that and just build something. And, maybe Anna or anybody else from planning can speak to it, but I believe that, they're two separate pieces of documentation that have to be treated as one, as we just discussed them, because one ignites the other one. But I do want everyone to know that the specific questions you're asking, we're not purposely avoiding them to kind of create a clouded situation. We just have not gone that far yet. As Councilmember Johnston said, there's a lot of studies and effort that go into figuring out how to best lay out a site to account for a lot of different things: parking, stormwater being just two of those.
Hey, thank you, Ed. Questions continue to come in, and there are still a lot more on specifics and things. However, I do want to note just an overall sentiment about several people posting they are not in support of this change. They worry that it will open a Pandora's box, or they worry what will happen next. And so I'm not reading each one of those comments, but I just want to voice that we have several of those coming in. I know some of you are probably frustrated that your specific question may not have been answered. I do want Anna to address this one question, though, because that goes into next steps. It's how long is this study going to be open?
Yeah, and that's a great chance for me to pull up the slides on kind of the tentative schedule that these applications run on. So as I mentioned at the beginning, this is planning's first step in reviewing the application. And so when an application is made, it does have a planning commission date to which it is scheduled in order to go on the agenda and be in the noticing process. So this application, and let me share my screen so that y'all can see what I'm. So this application is tentatively scheduled for the September 9th Planning Commission hearing. Based on the number of questions and comments we've received and the need for more meetings, it sounds like planning will probably recommend to the applicant that they defer from that September 9th meeting in order to have those further meetings and discussions. So that could be the following meeting in September or future meetings in October, November. So there's no defined schedule for a plan amendment. There's no window in which it has to occur. We would just recommend deferral until it seemed appropriate to bring it forward to the Planning Commission. And we would not recommend it going to the Planning Commission with a recommendation of disapproval from planning because the commission is unlikely to go against planning staff's recommendation on a plan amendment. So as I mentioned, tentatively September 9th, but more than likely will be deferred one or multiple meetings. We can gather email addresses from those of you that have put comments in the Q&A. And so we can keep you updated. And I'm sure that the applicant and Councilmember Johnston will be keeping the community updated and letting them know of any future meetings that are scheduled.
Anna, is it possible, because I know there's a lot of people that have individual questions, but I think it's really helpful when people hear other people's questions and everyone hears the answer. Is it possible to go through all of these different questions and sort of create our specific Q&A for this proposal, and then so you guys or whoever's appropriate could answer these questions? Some of them are a little bit repetitive or similar, but could we get those questions and answers, and then you could send them to me, and I'm happy to send them out on social media or to certain email addresses or whatever. But I do think it's important, just for, instead of answering individual people individually, to answer it so that everyone can see the answers, because I think that's helpful for everyone. Is that possible? I hate to throw you like a...
No, that's totally fine. We actually just had a meeting with a similar amount of interest and questions on the Bellevue Community Plan. And so after this meeting is finished, Metro ITS will pull the transcript of the questions, and I can share that with this group so that you can see what questions were unanswered. And then we can compile the answers, and then would rely on Councilmember Johnston to kind of share with the groups that she's aware of. But yeah, absolutely, we can do that.
Perfect. And then for everyone out there, is if you have specific questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself. I'm usually really, really responsive, and it's really quick. And if I personally don't have the answer, I know who does, and I can get the answer for you pretty quick. You can also email Anna; she's great. Really, anyone on the panel can answer a lot of these different questions. So we want to get your questions answered for sure. But again, want to reiterate that yes, it is tentatively on the September 9th agenda. It's going to, Ed, can I get a yes, this will be deferred as the applicant?
It will be deferred.
Thank you so much. So again, nothing is final. We're just in the beginning stages of this, and everyone's listening. And so that's kind of where we are. But yeah, anything I can do to help, just let me know. Thanks.
Thank you, council member. We've got one more comment I'd like to close with because it's a sentiment we often hear. I'm confused by this meeting. The applicant has no specific answers, yet we are here as residents supposed to make a decision about the impact to our neighborhood. I vote no. And I think this is what we often run into this sentiment. So we like to get, as Anna mentioned, we like to get out early in front of the community and start getting input. That's what Pillars wanted to do as well. They wanted to get this idea just out there and start talking about it to see, opposition, yes or no, concerns, yes or no, what are they, how can we move forward? So I hope that now it's clear that you weren't being asked to make any specific decision tonight and to vote one way or the other. It was to start so that they could, so Pillars could develop some ideas and a plan and come back and continue meeting.
Yeah, so I know that I want to be cognizant of time and let everyone know that we do want to address all the questions, and we'll do so following this meeting. And I would keep an eye out for future meetings that the council member and the applicant will be hosting to further the discussion. This meeting will be recorded and up on our Metro Nashville Network's YouTube channel tomorrow, so folks can watch that at a future time. And I'm available for your emails and comments. As we heard from the applicant, they're going to defer, so there's no need to attend the September 9th Planning Commission meeting. We will keep our local planning website updated for the Southeast Community Plan. And I know that Councilmember Johnston will also be keeping everyone updated on the process and on future meetings. So I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. I think we were well over 100 attendees and well over 120 questions. So I know that this is a very engaged and caring community. And so I want to thank everyone for their attendance and look forward to seeing you at future meetings. And thanks to all the panelists for their work on answering these questions.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thanks, everyone.
Night.
Oh.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.